Flash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
You're still watching Prime Morning. It's still the Eid Mubarak celebration, or Happy Eid Mubarak to all my Muslim brothers and sisters. I always say my favorite persons on earth are Muslims. I don't know why, but I just love them. They're so good, you know. Maybe it's the ones I've met, but they're so good. And I love them so much. And so I'm celebrating with them, although I'm still waiting for my stew. It still hasn't come. So all the love that I have for them, they have still denied me of their special stew. You know, on Friday, one Ajia joined us via Zoom and said, Roslyn, I love you. Hey, Ajia, I was thinking that, you know, I'll be special. You say you love me, but you haven't brought the stew. Ajia, I know you're watching me this morning. I'm still waiting for my stew. Anyway, it's time for us to talk more about Eid Mubarak. For those of you who don't understand a lot about it, but you see us enjoying it and, you know, wishing our Muslim brothers and sisters Happy Eid Mubarak, Happy Eid Mubarak. You're wondering why Happy Eid Mubarak, or what is Eid Mubarak all about? We're going to delve into this conversation. And so let me welcome my guest this morning. I have with me Osman Saeed, and Osman Saeed is actually the Deputy Executive Secretary at the Office of the National Chief Imam. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. And you?
Great. I'm fine, thank you. You know, I should have visited the Chief Imam. Now that I've met you, I'll come and visit the Chief Imam.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
Yeah.
You're always
It's one of the things that I really want to do.
I'll do that. I would support you do that.
Thank you so much.
And you would love to visit him.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And also, I have my brother who has refused to give me stew. But it's okay. He has refused to give me stew, but it's okay. Adel Ibn Ibrahim, brother one. You know, I miss you, you know. I haven't seen you since you came to Power. I don't see you. Like, I used to see you every week. So what happened? I have to say for people to know.
You have to talk to people. I'm good. I miss you all too. It's been quite a while. I've taken up unemployment for certain reasons. I'm out of open political shows as long as I hold that position. So we'll do the general conversations.
Okay.
I will join you for your relationship conversations and conversations like this. And as for your stew, as for your stew.
We are live on TV, right?
The stew is coming.
No, wait. We are live on TV, right? Because I want the camera to actually get everything that Adel is telling me. It's a promise that he's making live television.
Where's my camera?
No, look at me. Don't look into it. Look at me and tell me. Look at me and tell me.
Rosamund, as for your stew, it's coming in style.
Okay, I'll let you repeat it very soon. I'll let you repeat it very soon.
Icing the chicken.
Adel claims that he'll give me my stew. You hold on. We will bring that one back to your doorstep. But let's talk about the Eid Mubarak celebrations. And there are about two different celebrations. There's this one, which they say is the small one, and there's the bigger one, which Adel always brings me meats. So that one day, I'll not say he doesn't bring it, but this one I was expecting the stew. And so let me start the conversation with Osman, and Osman will be able to tell us more about it as well. So Osman, welcome once again.
Thank you.
All right, so when we talk about Eid Mubarak, what are we talking about?
Well, after fasting for 30 days, it demands that we thank God Almighty for protecting us, giving us the strength, the energy to be able to fast for 30 days. It's not easy to fast. I mean, this is dry fasting, no water, no food. So you're going to do this consistently for 30 days. And
30 days?
Yes. And a bit about it that is so complex is that it is compulsory.
Oh.
It is compulsory on every Muslim
to
fast.
Okay.
The only two things that can stop you from fasting is one, when you are traveling, or two, when you're not well.
Okay.
Apart from that, if you don't fall into these two categories, it is compulsory onto you as a Muslim to fast, no option.
Okay.
The only thing is you have to fast for 1 month.
Okay.
Out of the 12 months, you have 1 month that you need to submit yourself to God Almighty.
No water, no food.
No sex.
Ah. Okay.
I can add to it.
What did you say?
I can add to it.
Okay, please add to it.
No love making between the hours of 4:30 a.m. from the time that you stop eating food to the time that you break your fast.
Okay, so when you break your fast, you can?
Yes. Why are you so concerned about that?
No, because I needed to add to it so that she understands that within that 30 days, there are places.
So
She's a wife.
So that's the time?
That's the time.
Okay.
When you break your fast.
So
but in actual fact, the moment you start the fasting and start getting to the spiritual rhyme, you actually don't feel for love making.
Okay.
And if you do, sometimes you struggle during the day because of the energy you have lost in the night.
Right.
So most of the time, people don't really do it. But it is not like Adel is saying, it's not against Islam.
If you're married.
Yes, if you're married. If you're not married, no conversation.
Okay.
No conversation at all. But it's not against Islam. But again, for me as an individual, if I'm asked not to have sex during the fasting period, like during 4:30 to 6, then there should be a reason why. And I really want to maintain it as much as I can.
Okay.
I hardly make love with my wife during Ramadan. Maybe once or twice, just to satisfy her if she needs. But if we are both okay, it takes me to another level.
Okay, so the abstinence actually does take you to a different level.
I mean, pretty much. And so to add to something that he also said earlier, which had to do with the two reasons why you basically are exempted from fast, there are other opportunities that has been given to women. So for a woman who is basically menstruating already, she's going through a lot of stress, she's bleeding and all of that, she needs to rejuvenate, she needs to take in some water and all of that, she's exempted from it.
What about pregnant?
Pregnancy, exactly. If you're pregnant, you're exempted from it. If you're breastfeeding, you're exempted from it.
Okay.
So for a woman who has to go through all these processes, she's basically also exempted from it.
Okay.
Yes.
So women have a bit of, immunity in that side.
Pretty much.
What about the children? What age can they start fasting?
Before you go there, so the woman,
yes.
If a woman is menstruating, she's also exempted from fasting.
Right.
But for menstruating, you need to pay back
after. That's true.
After the fasting.
How do you pay back?
So you need to fast if you menstruated for 7 days.
Okay.
It means after Ramadan, you need to find 7 days to pay back the days that you have missed. And it is always encouraged that you should do it as early as possible. Don't wait till 1 month to another Ramadan before you pay back. You pay as early as you can.
All right. Okay, I see. What about the pregnant mothers? They can't, or the breastfeeding mothers? They can't pay back, can they?
The breastfeeding mothers normally would be asked to to feed
an indigent. So you can't do it. Pretty much like when a man cannot do it because he's terminally ill, and for whatever reasons, if he fasts, it's going to be a problem. What you're encouraged to do is to feed someone that is poor. So within the 30 days period, you can decide to say, okay, so there's somebody that lives behind my house who is basically poor and can't even afford, the actual meals. I dedicate myself to feed that person for that 30-day period. I'll probably take care of his breakfast and his dinner, on a daily basis, for that 30-day period. And then that also pretty much, it's almost as though you have fasted. But like we keep saying, it's better for you if you fast, except for when all these circumstances are there, then you're allowed to do that in exchange for your fasting, pretty much.
So even though you might have a circumstance that you can't fast, no, you don't have to, you can't fast, you still have to have ways and means of getting it done in different ways.
Certainly. You see, the idea is that, so the whole Ramadan period is to share with you what it feels like for people to actually be deprived. You get up in the morning, you have your Milo Nido, you do your tea, and then you take it, you get up, you go to streets. In the afternoon, you find your lunch. In the evening, there are thousands of people who go through, their days without food. It is an opportunity for you to actually know what it feels like to be hungry. Trust me, from 4:30 to 6 p.m., it's no joke.
No, it's not.
No water, nothing, and then by the time it's 10, 11, people are already starting to feel the heat. By the time it's 3 p.m. in the evening, you're getting weaker, and then as the days pass by, it gets even more intense and intense, until your body now eventually gets used to it. And the other thing that you also have to understand is that while you're going through that period, it is a period of teaching you to be steadfast. It's a period of patience. You learn all these things, with time. And then, of course, it is a time to share.
Okay.
It's a time to share.
This particular one, or it's for all the times that you're fasting?
For the entire period.
You have two types, right?
Okay, you mean the Eid-al-Fitr and the Eid-al-Adha?
Yes.
Yeah, this one, for the Eid-al-Adha, we do sharing, but that will be before, we do some zakats,
Okay.
Even for Eid-al-Fitr, we do zakat al-Fitr before we go for Eid, when the Ramadan has ended.
Okay.
It is enjoined on us to share, uncooked foodstuffs. So within the neighborhood, before we move out to go pray, like people went out to pray yesterday, we have a certain quantity of we have a certain quantity of rice that you're supposed to share. Yes, it has a certain quantity,
okay.
That you're supposed to share to the poor. So if I have a family of, say, 5, myself and all the 3 kids,
right.
I'm supposed to do 5 olunka.
Oh.
Per head.
Wow.
Yeah, per head. So you look in your neighborhood, and then yourself, your wife, 3 kids, you take 5 olunka, and then you look for 5 families, and then you share it out. You can decide to give it to one. Some will take it to the mosque and just say, okay, this is my donation. And the idea is to share it across board. So when people come back from Eid, people have something to cook. People have something to share.
Right.
It's pretty much like that.
So that's how it is.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, this particular one, this is the Eid-al-Fitr.
Fitr.
Okay, so the Eid-al-Fitr, what is it that brings you to the fast? Is it the one that the one that you go to Mecca, or which one is this one?
This one is not the one that we go to Mecca. The one that we go to Mecca is Eid-al-Adha.
Okay.
That one is different from this particular one. So the reason why we need to fast as human beings has a serious scientific or medical benefits aside the spiritual benefit.
Okay.
But let me just cite one typical example of spiritual benefit of fasting. During the era of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the youth in the area were faced with a lot of temptation. The Arab ladies, women are beautiful. So the youth were faced with a lot of temptation to have sex, when meanwhile Islam is haram to have sex with somebody who is not your wife. So the issue came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there was a need to find a solution to it. And the solution Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave was, if you're not able to overcome temptation of having sex, go and fast.
Okay.
If you do not have a wife and your temptation is too strong that you are tempted to really go and have sex before marriage, go and fast. And in actual fact, if you really fast, you will understand what Prophet Muhammad was saying. Okay. It's a different feelings altogether, especially when it's around 3, 4 o'clock. Then you start panicking. Well, I've been able to stay out of food, water for this long. Will I go and do something that would jeopardize, that would make all these efforts? I'll not gain anything out of it. So for me, it has a serious spiritual, and beyond that, you as a human being yourself, once you are fasting, you feel in your soul, your body, everything of yours, you feel you want to submit it entirely to Allah, so that Allah would forgive you, open doors for you, give you good health. That's where you see a lot of people praying. And one good thing is that anybody who fasts according to Islam, anybody who fasts, if the person prays for you, the possibility or the probability that God will accept that prayer is very high. And the peak time is just before he breaks his fast or her fast. That's the peak time. And another peak time is on Friday between the hours of 4 to 6 o'clock. That's another peak time to even in Ramadan. So around that time, you see a lot of Muslims praying, asking for forgiveness, praying for their family, praying. And for this time around, most of us even prayed for the country as a whole. May God let us continue to enjoy the peaceful atmosphere, the peaceful coexistence, the religious tolerance we are seeing between Muslims and Christians is our hope and prayer that God Almighty would continue to give us that opportunity.
Amen. We are hoping so too, but you still didn't bring me stew. Anyway, we've been joined by Munaya Binta Imam Hussein Zakaria. She is a proprietress of Adel Muslim Islamic School. Good morning.
Good morning.
I love your abaya.
Thank you very much.
You look so beautiful this
Mashallah,
morning.
so do you.
Thank you so much. We are talking about Eid-al-Fitr and the significance of it. Yeah. Now, today, for me, I want to know the difference between Eid-al-Adha and Eid-al-Fitr. Right. And I know most of my Christian brothers and sisters watching us this morning will ask the same question. All we know is we eat meat and we eat some of your stew. So that's the only difference that most people know. So, Aja, since you're here, please help us with that.
Yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. All praise and glory be to Allah, and salutation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his household. Unfortunately, I'm sorry for coming late. I had a late information.
It's fine.
So, Eid-al-Fitr, like my brothers said, it's a celebration or a festival to thank Allah for one long month of fasting. So it marks the end of Ramadan and then the beginning of Shawwal. So it is done on the first day of Shawwal. And then as Muslims, we come out together and pray and give glory to Allah and magnify Him. So apart from that, apart from praying and thanking Allah, we show it's a form of, it's a way that brings unity amongst us. Sometimes we do not meet each other. It takes a long time, but when it's Eid, we go on visitation and then we visit family and friends. We feed the poor and the needy, and we magnify Allah. And a verse from the Quran, which is Surah Al-Baqarah, I think 183, says that the end of the ayah says, وَلِتُكْمِلُ الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ. It says, complete the number. That is the number of days you may have missed the fasting. Complete the number, and then magnify Allah for guiding you. Magnify Allah for guiding you. So on Eid day, there are a lot of takbirat that we say, Allahu Akbar, and it continues on and on and on. So in a nutshell, that is Eid.
That is what it is. Okay. So before you joined us, they also told us about, the woman, depending on your condition at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you will be exempted, but you have a way of paying back as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted to know, with regards to the age, what age can you start fasting, Adel?
So the age in Islam, if I get this wrong, I'm sure Usman and Hajjah would actually correct, but I think it's 7. Yeah. If I am not
7 years.
7 years. You
okay.
know, by age 7, you should basically encourage the children to do it. But most of our kids now do it
before 7.
Before 7.
Really?
Yes. I mean, my youngest 5, he does, dawn to 12 noon.
Okay.
Then they break.
Okay.
Rayan is 9. Well, she's able to do, the whole day, morning till evening. And the thing is, they want to do it because everybody else is doing it. They want to belong, so they go and come and they're excited, in the evening that, oh yeah, I did it, Dad. I was able to do it to 6, I did it to 6, so it actually feels good. So by age 7, it's what it is. And it's not just for fast, even for prayers, it says that by age 7, if you find your child not conversant, you should, push up a little bit, because that is the formative age. Once the child passes that age, it then becomes very difficult to imbibe in them. What we do is from childhood, we teach the kids how to do all these rituals, and then as they grow, they learn the significance of it, they learn the importance of it. But if you don't get them used to it right from childhood, when they grow up, it becomes a problem. I know a lot of people who are still struggling till today, Muslims, born Muslims, but because they didn't have that basics from childhood, they're still struggling today. They want to do it, they have grown and learned the essence of it, and they want to practice it, but some of them still struggle because they're not used to it. So we push up, from childhood, but the age that has been set is actually 7. But they do it earlier than that.
That's good. I like that. They love to do it.
Yeah, they want to do it.
That's the good part about it. Now, talking about it, you also mentioned that during this period is when you do the giving. So there's a period of gratitude, there's a period of sharing and all. You still haven't brought it, but it's still okay.
I'll bring yours to you, don't worry.
I'm embarrassing you. Osman, let me come to you with regards to this. During this period, you do a lot of good. What does that mean to Muslims?
It means a lot to Muslims. It means that you need, and the bit of it is that the idea behind all this fasting is to educate us, encourage us to do good things even beyond the fasting period. There is a temptation globally that, okay, so I'm going to wait. When it's fasting time, then I do what I want to do. After that, I revert, which is totally not acceptable in Islam. So we do good things to ensure that others are also comfortable. People who do not have meals, square meals on their tables would have meals on their table. And then once you feel hungry and you're thirsty, you know how those who do not have money to eat and drink feel anytime they don't have money. So that should encourage you, because it's so uncomfortable to really go thirsty and hungry whilst fasting. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that that's the way they feel when they don't have money. You eat every day, you take your breakfast, you take your lunch, you even take snack. That snack could be somebody's meal, like one day, because the person doesn't have money. And beyond that, when you give out, you feel good. You feel you've not been selfish. You feel you've also supported somebody. So there is that personal inner satisfaction that you get out of the giving. And as Muslims, we believe that the more you give, the more you're blessed. So the temptation to give is very high, but it gets to the peak during Ramadan. I would like to encourage myself and all other Muslims, to continue with that attitude, that energy that we use in Ramadan to give, to do good things, to run away from troubles, to avoid, doing things that is classified as a sin in Islam. Let's continue doing it even after Ramadan.
Talking about this, doing good, when you do good to the people, do you have a criteria of people you do the good to, or you do it to everybody?
Yeah, you can do it to everybody, but again, what sense would it make if you go and give somebody like, what's his name, the gentleman who celebrated his birthday some few days ago?
Richard.
What's the good in going to give Richard 200,000? You've done nothing. So even though you can give it to everybody, but mainly Islam encourages you to give it to the underserved, the needy, those who actually need it. There's been a lot of, debates globally, whether, for instance, if we get to Eid-al-Adha, where we slaughter the cow, the sheep, so for instance, if I have done my sacrifice, should I give Adel meat when I know very well that Adel can also afford it? And is it just scratching your back to scratch my back? When in actual fact, there are people at Adobloshi who really do not have the meat. So are they the ones that should get the meat? Or is Adel who gives me, or I give back to Adel? So normally the criteria is to give to the poor, people you know that cannot really. So for instance, at the National Mosque, I happen to be the administrator of the National Mosque. At the National Mosque, every single day during Ramadan, we provide food for people who do not have to come and break their fast. We give them fruit, we give them water, we give them food for 30 days. I mean, I can confidently tell you that we have fed more than 10,000 people in this Ramadan. There are special days where we feed about 1,500 when it's a special occasion. But beyond that, every single day, and it's not only at the national mosques, it's done everywhere. I can confidently tell you that there are Muslims who will feed not less than 200 or 100 people a day, every day for the 30
Wow.
days.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
But must you be rich to be able to do that? Yeah.
Unfortunately, you don't need to be rich. That is one beautiful thing about Islam. For instance, when it comes to Zakat-al-Fitr or Zakah, if, for instance, I don't have it, and Alaji brings a gift, and my brother here brings some, when I realize this is a bit more, the next person close to me whom I know doesn't have it, I must share with the person. So it's all about sharing.
So you can't say that I'm keeping it for them.
No. Unfortunately, you must share. And the more you share, the more Allah blesses you and He opens the door for you.
Wow, that's very impressive, I must say, because some people would have hoarded it, you know, because I know I don't have it today. What about tomorrow? If I give it to this person, and you know, tomorrow, what will my children and I eat? It's not like that. You have to share it to the next person. That's a beautiful one. That's very beautiful. Now, families, do different families have different way that you practice your Eid-al-Fitr celebrations?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, it's a general celebration. We all know how I mean, the basics are there. You do your zakat. You want the kids to watch that you're doing it, so they learn from it before you go for your Eid prayer. When you come back, we come back and we do the cooking, and then after we do the cooking and celebrate, we go visitations.
Yeah.
Okay.
We go visitations.
So you go in a family form.
We go in a family form.
Okay.
You know, yourself, your wife, your kids. If you're married, if you're not married, you join your nuclear family. That's what it's actually. And now that we're having 2 holidays, there are a lot of people who have actually earmarked today as visitation. So there's going to be a lot of get-togethers. You know, today, family members. For example, on my side of the family today, we're all moving to my mom. Okay. And I wish to spend time with her, all the siblings and all that. So pretty much, that's just the way it is. You go, you do your Zakat-al-Fitr, the kids get to watch it, everybody gets to enjoy it. You move to the prayer ground. After the prayer ground, you come back home. Some decide to cook before visitations. Others will do visitations and come back and then do cooking the following day. But pretty much the celebration is almost the same. I mean, there's the horse riding that happens, in Mamo Binima. I'm not sure if it still happens. Fadama does that, the horse ridings,
What's the significance of that?
It's just, so the chieftaincy, around this period, the chieftaincy, the various chiefs they come out and they are regalious and, on the horses, it's a way of celebration, just to tell people that, okay, we are done with the fasting, this is how it feels like, this is how our culture talks about. So pretty much the celebration is like that, but it's supposed to be in a union. If you would actually pay attention, right, from the time Ramadan begins, every evening is always a congregation. Every evening. If you pass through the typical Muslim community, by the time it's 5 p.m., you start seeing tables being put outside, chairs being put outside, and then the porridge will start dropping on the tables.
So everybody can walk there if you don't have something to eat. Everybody's walking.
Yes. There was a day I was coming from Nima roundabout and I was heading back home. They called prayer. I saw a group of young people set a table, fruits and everything. I just parked my vehicle and I joined them. We all eat. Everybody takes, you eat yours and then, you basically find your way and go. It's like that in the evenings. And we'd sit down and
I should have been getting some Hausa cocoa that period.
You have to move.
And say, Hausa cocoa. Give me some Hausa cocoa, let me eat.
But somehow, I don't know, but somehow over the years, I remember 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was a lot more intense. It's like things have actually slowed down now.
What could be the reason? Maybe Osman will know the reason.
I think it's a wrong understanding of our culture. So we tend to copy the culture of the foreigners and Europe, America. That could also be part of the reason. Now that the world has become a global village where a kid who is about 8 years old in Ghana knows what's happening in the United States of America, and they tend to adapt to that life, you know. So instead of the normal kashika shika we do at
Kashika.
now.
What is kashika shika? I'm interested.
That is the one we normally do at Nima. All the chiefs from various tribes will come out and then they will display their culture.
So that's what's called kashika shika.
Now we're moving to the Salah Fest, where in the night you see musicians coming to perform, and then we go. So it's that adaptation, is that pressure to succumb to the foreign culture and try to forget about our tradition. For me, it's alarming. Yesterday, a friend of mine was sitting on the street and we're watching what's happening. He asked me, "What's wrong?" I mean, what he saw 5 years ago is not what he's seeing today. What's wrong? Something is wrong that as a community, as a religion, as people who value tradition, we need to get back to the round table and start discussing. Otherwise, in the next 15, 20 years, we're going to lose it entirely, because the rate at which it's coming down is so alarming. You did ask about the fact that whether it's the same celebration everywhere. Yes, no. Yes, because Islam says you should make merry. So that's a fact. But how you do it differs in terms of your culture or your country tradition. So for instance, in Saudi Arabia, the way they would make their merry would be different from the way we are doing ours here. So if you go to an European country, for instance, where you have only a husband and a wife living in a room or a house, it's going to be a little bit different. But there's that fundamental understanding that you need to be happy, you need to thank God that He's taking care of you. So how you're going to do it Islamically is not really categorized or cast in stone that this is the way you should do it. But you should be happy. Like you mentioned, the issue of visit. I would definitely visit my late mother. My mother died 17 years ago at the cemetery every Eid day. And we do that together with my family. And there are a lot of people who also do that. People who would visit their parents who are alive, their aunties. So for some people, you only see them on Eid day. You don't see them again. So, and all this is to bring together that bond that would make us as a family. God said, in Surah Al-Hujra, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna halaknakum min zakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. He said, I created heaven, I created you from a man and a woman. I gave you countries, I gave you towns, I gave you everything. Lita'arafu, because I want you to know each other and be with each other, believe like a family. But he said, but the one who is more pious, the one who I would love more than any of you, is the one that fears God the most. So it's not about my dressing. Maybe I've dressed like a typical traditional Muslim, or some people will say, this is a house address. Adel is modernized his dressing. But what God works with is cup, what is in your heart. And God says that if I fear God more than Adel, then God will love me. If Adel fears God more than me, he would love me. But the most important thing is that because I want you to live in harmony. I want you to live like a family. I want you to be tolerant. I want you to take a Christian as a brother. I want you to ensure that you do not disturb anybody, even if whilst you are worshiping, you need to respect the right of your neighbor. You need to go beyond seeing somebody who is not in your religion as a different person. He's just like you. The only difference is that you believe in this, he believes in that. So live together. Let him do his worship. Do your own, and then we live in harmony.
That's great. Wow. Today's conversation, I'm really enjoying it. So talking about living in harmony, talking about fashion, do you have different fashion senses as well? Because it looks like This period, I'm seeing so many fashion. You know, I don't know. Ajia, maybe you can walk me through since your abaya is glitching.
Thank you very much. So, when it comes to fashion, Islam is very peculiar about it. It's very careful about it because no matter what happens, you must be identified as a Muslim. So the most important thing for you, most especially for the ladies or women, you must cover up. You must cover up from head to toe.
Okay.
Yeah. In as much as in other countries may differ from their traditions may differ from country to country, but Islam is still one, and Islam, the laws of Islam don't grow old. So some of our sisters will say this particular dressing is old-fashioned. She would wear her jeans with a small top or dress and then just hang on the veil. Yes, you might think it's the new way, but in anything you do, the most important thing, the center point should be Allah and His laws. So as a Muslim, you must dress like a Muslim and cover up.
So is this a period that you cover the hair, you can't show your hair at all?
It is. For a Muslim, it doesn't necessarily be in Ramadan. You don't cover up only in Ramadan. You must cover up your entire life.
Okay.
Inshallah.
Okay.
You must cover up your entire life. Some people would argue and say, what if I'm not married? Do I have to cover up? Of course, you must cover up, and it is Allah who gives husbands and wives.
Okay.
So if you cover up, just pray to Allah and believe in Him. Pray to Allah and believe in Him. He is the one who bestows husbands and wives.
That's so true. So again, I want to ask more about the covering up, because I have friends who, before Ramadan, they actually cover up with their dressing, but they don't cover their hair. But anytime it's Ramadan, they cover the hair.
Yeah. So as a human institution, certainly there are some people, you must definitely find people who might not stick to the laws. There are others who are strict to the laws, they abide by the laws, and there are others who would want to do their own thing, but then when it's Ramadan, they know the right thing to do, so they will rush and do it. But then just after Ramadan, they will begin going back to their old life.
This brings me to a story. So there was this family who lives in the African families. In fact, they're actually Ghanaians who live in Europe. And he married another Ghanaian lady, and so they were living in Europe. They gave birth to the guy was around 6 years old. So they came back. When they came back, they were living in a family house. So at dawn, the father would wake up and go and pray because there's a small mosque in the house. And then in the afternoon, then the father starts telling the kids, let's go and pray in the midst of people. And the kids said, Dad, why? You don't do this in Europe. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this here? Is it because we're in Africa? So when we get back to Europe, we stop doing it. We only do it when that. It reminds me of that story when he made mention of. Like she rightly said, actually, you see, Islam, the laws of Islam does not grow old. Maybe that's the word we should take out of here. But modernization can change it a little bit. How does modernization change it a little bit? So for instance, during Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was some offense, or if you do something wrong, you would have to pay a penalty. And then they were using, I think, dinar or so. So in a way where the currency is changed, then you can no more use dinar. It becomes modernization. So for instance, how do you call it? The rosary. The rosary. before we're having it long with some small beads that we use.
Yes.
Now, scientifically, we have something like a ring. All you need to do is to press, and it gives you the number you are counting.
Okay.
So that's modernization. It doesn't change the significance of what we are doing. But where you say, because if I cover my whole body, it becomes obsolescence and tradition, and modernization has brought in jeans, it's brought in that. It's not about your personal feelings or how you want to do it. We are all operating within a fundamental rule, and that is the principles of Islam.
Okay.
It is not a choice. Like I was telling a friend, when I was fasting, he was eating in front of me, and he got offended that he's going to tempt me. I said, no, I'm not fasting by chance. I am fasting by choice. You can have 100 people eating in the room. I chose to fast. Nothing absolutely of what you're doing will tempt me to.
So it's not offensive to eat in front of you?
Well, Islam is says you should try as much as you can to avoid.
Okay.
But we have Muslims who even finds it a problem when they are at workplace where their Christian brothers are eating and stuff like that. I mean, you don't have that power.
Okay.
If your Christian brother is eating, he's not a Muslim. You are fasting by choice, not chance.
Okay.
Let him enjoy his time.
Enjoy his...
And then you to be in your lane.
Okay, so the girl child, what age should she cover her hair?
7.
Girl
Yes.
child?
But
Yes. Yes. Just as my brother said, 7, we start encouraging them from age 7, as the Prophet said. But normally, pertaining to fasting and covering up, when a child becomes an adolescent, he or she must begin to assume the laws, practice the laws of Islam and assume responsibilities. Because from then, let's say a child becomes an adolescent at age 14. So from then, salat or prayer becomes compulsory. Fasting becomes compulsory, and the covering up as a female child becomes compulsory, because then the physical changes or physical development might have started. And all Islam is saying is that you must not do anything as a woman to tempt anyone. You might think you are doing the right thing, but what you are doing, just as you said about somebody, he just explained that somebody eating in front of him, yeah. So you must try to you must start assuming taking up responsibilities or putting the laws of Islam into practice. So from that age, you must know that if you don't pray, there's going to be a punishment. And then from that age 14 up to 1 year, after 1 year or 15, 16, you are given that chance or that liberty, because that is when you are coming up, you are picking up, or you are getting to know as an exactly. So after then, when you go wrong, the punishment or the consequences would not be on the parent; it will be on you direct. Right. So automatically, by being a teenager means being responsible as far as Islam is concerned.
Right. Adel, you wanted to?
So, in Islam, they say the women should cover up and guard their ears, and the men should lower their gaze. There's a reason why. Scientifically...
Lowering the gaze is what?
So, lowering the gaze is not involving in REM, what we call random eye movements. So you walk out and then you're looking at everyone, you lower your gaze.
Staring at the girls and all of that.
Lower your gaze. There's a reason why we're asked to lower our gaze. So Islam does something with science which is a bit unique.
there's an acknowledgement of what you go through while you're growing up. So what Quran and what Islam does is to try and give you a certain guards that would help you through the process. It is pretty much like somebody who has malaria. Back in the day, we had something that we call chloroquine.
Yeah.
And I remember my sister used to react to chloroquine. But at the time, my mom would still insist and give her the chloroquine, even though she's going to jump in the whole corridor scratching because she itches when she takes it. But there's a need that needs to be dealt with, which is what she has malaria.
Yeah.
So even though you're going to feel that, but we'll have to give it to you because we need to get rid of that.
Right.
Now, God acknowledges the fact that when a young girl gets to her adolescence, certain things will change in her. And when those things change in her, he has actually also given the man a certain lush, a certain desire for those changes. So he knows that it's a form of magnet. Why? Because God wants there to be a relationship that would go into marriage, that would go into childbearing, that would go blah, blah, blah. Imagine if a man saw a woman and doesn't feel anything. That's a problem. Because then there's no marriage, there's no relationship. But God knows that, this would, in order for me to perpetuate, in order for them to marry, I would have to give the man a certain desire. I would have to give the female certain features that is going to actually bring them together. And it's the same thing that I'm marking them. Now, but when God says that, okay, let the female cover up, it is because he wants to protect her. Because you don't just want to attract anything. You want to attract, the good one. So take a banana, walk onto the street, put it down on the street. Go back to the same street, pick another banana, and peel one. Put the two of them down. One of them will quickly attract flies. Lots of flies. Lots of them. One will still be lying down, no fly is really interested. Even if they pass, they will pass and go. This is basically what it is. So for the female in Islam, the idea is that when you cover up, then you attract the responsible ones.
Okay, that's great.
Then you attract the responsible ones. Because you must understand that the average man is moved by a certain desire, not necessarily because he wants to actually marry you or he wants to be with you. You're showing him something that is pulling him to you. And that thing that you're showing him is his first desire.
Yeah.
So when he satisfies that, then that is when he now starts to decide whether, okay, I want to continue this or I don't want to continue this. God says, no, don't put yourself in that situation.
Okay.
Don't just keep pulling, because if you do that, you pull and pull and pull and pull, cover up, it earns you a certain, and then you would end up attracting the ones that really,
But then again, when I was growing up, I learned that there are different types of Muslim, right? Yeah, two or
different types.
Is it?
It's
Sects, right?
Sects.
Yes, two sects, right?
More. It's more.
Mention them for me, please.
Okay.
Go through them for me.
Before I do that, I want to challenge my mom. That a woman is a complete something, complete. To really be a lady goes beyond just your dressing. It goes with personal hygiene. It goes with knowledge about yourself as a woman. It goes with your moral, upbringing. There are a lot of school of thought. Some are thinking that we are so concentrating on only covering ourselves. So when I was in the uni, for instance, we had people who covered themselves very well. But trust me, they are worse.
Really?
Yeah. So the challenge I'm giving, I want to put Aja, maybe perhaps Adel, we should pick this up and come out with an NGO. And then educate our young girls about sexual and reproductive health.
Exactly.
Don't let us shy away from it. Look, there's been instances where we have two children put together, two. One, the father has expressed and taught her what she needs to know about sexual and reproductive health. What, if she does, she would get pregnant, if she does this, and then give her the benefit of abstaining from sex. The other one, nothing was done. At the end of the day, the one that the father spoke to rather got married and did not get pregnant before marriage. The other one got pregnant before marriage. there is this late that they're saying that there was a young lady who was going to the uni, and then the father told her that if you go to the uni, don't allow any man to lie on you. After first semester, she came home. We're about to review our goal. So I told you don't allow any man to lie on you when you go to the uni. She said that I perfectly did that, excellently and accurately. However, I was the one who rather lied on the man. Because the father refused to tell her why she should not lie on any man. So for me, it's time that Ajay, we need to come out and start. Look, it will be. Ajay, this is a fact that we need to face. Otherwise, in our communities, the young ones, when they start menstruating, they've never been taught how to even fix a pad. They don't know anything. And the moment you start menstruating, the likelihood that you get pregnant is very high.
So the preaching is more on covering up?
Not really on covering up, on other Muslim values and morals.
That's where the
But I am thinking that there is a gap that we need to cover as a society.
Right.
And Adel, perhaps we need to pick this.
Okay, let Adel come in.
Just to add to what he just said, this is, I'd like to digress a bit. This is one of the reasons I had to, I think somewhere around last year, I had to start organizing girl-child education. I had to organize a class, create a class for girls who are in GHS and senior high to start taking lessons from my institution, because one thing I realized is that in our community, I would like to use this as an opportunity to talk to our fellow brothers and sisters in Islam. One major problem we are having with the girls in our community, especially the less privileged ones, is that the girl might come from a poor background. She might want to go to school and get to the highest level. The mother doesn't have it. Perhaps she has lost the dad. Nobody is there to support. So she ends up finding herself in a rough life, in quote. And then we in the community, instead of us pulling or dragging the person close to us, speak to the person about just what my brother said, girl-child education, how to handle herself. Excuse me.
Okay.
So you realize most of us, instead of us supporting the girl, we rather sit and talk bad things about the girl. So this particular girl, it means we are, or girls, we are pushing them to go the wrong direction. You realize that sometimes when you are with them, they don't have it to the extent that when it is time for them to, when it is time for their menses, they even come to you, Malima, please, I need this to help myself. So sometimes when you are not close to them, you don't know the problems they are facing. Or sometimes if you don't observe, just like my brother is saying, you see them, they go wayward, and then we all end up pointing our left fingers at them. Meanwhile, it is our collective responsibilities as Muslims. Yes. We might be disagreeing with them, but nobody amongst us or no institution in our community is ready to help the girl child, to let her know that she has a home in terms of need.
Right.
So I guess that is.
Yeah. Adel, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean,
messages?
yes, it's, you know, especially for the girls, it's actually very sad. And part of the reasons is because, I mean, in college, I know young girls who aspire to get somewhere. I mean, Islam tells you to educate, you know, your child, regardless of whether she's male or female, you know. And over the years, I think that the Muslim community has done very well by now coming to terms with the fact that the girl needs to be in class and all of that. But there are a lot of parents who have given birth to kids that they can't take care of, and then they leave these young girls in the mercy of other people. Look, they would come to school, she's struggling to pay her school fees, she finds a suitor here, she finds another suitor here, she finds, all she's looking for is to survive. She wants to get somewhere. you know, and I mean, collective responsibility.
Collective responsibility it is. So I'm reading a few messages. You at home can bring your messages in and wish your loved ones happy Eid Mubarak. And so I have my first one. I am writing to express my deep concern about the alarming rate of road accidents in Ghana and the need to hold drivers accountable for their actions. It's disheartening to note that while individuals are quick to seek justice and compensation when medical negligence occurs, the same level of urgency and action is not taken when road accidents result in injuries and fatalities. The fact that drivers are not held liable for their recklessness on the roads perpetuates a culture of impunity, leading to more accidents and loss of lives. It is imperative that we take concrete steps to address this issue and ensure that drivers are held accountable for their actions. Driving is a science, religious principle, act, and skills in operating and controlling the course of a vehicle. And he says, hashtag Eid-al-Fitr, Ramadan, Easter, Christmas, holidays. All right, thank you so much for sending your message to us. So this one says, the host, you look like a Muslim. I do. I pray one day for you, one day you become a Muslim. Hey, okay. Yo. Let's see what the future holds. Good morning, Ajia Roslyn. Fadila. Hey, wow. You've given me a full name. Ajia Roslyn Fadila. All right. And all the panel members, great education this morning. May the Almighty Allah bless us all and grant us the rewards of all the ibadah we did in the holy month of Ramadan. May our supplications be answered and accepted. Eid Mubarak. Masaraman Jr. from Kintampo. Happy Barakah de Salah. I think we are lost as a nation. No planning in Ghana, no discipline. Everybody does what he wants. We build houses on waterways, on fire hydrants. We don't have parks. We don't build toilets in our houses. In this modern world, I see people in Accra going to ease themselves and throw it into the gutters. Heaps of garbage in market, flies hovering over it, illegal electricity connection on markets. In markets, politicians are seen on TV telling lies to the public. It goes on and on. Something is seriously wrong with us. The hypocrisy is too much. Dachi, watching from Ejumako Assas. Is it Assasan? Okay. Good morning, Ajia Roslyn. Hey, good morning. I went to an Islamic school, Riyadh Islamic Basic School at Accra. Is it Mabruk? Oh, okay, that's nice. Thank you so much for letting us know, and I hope you learned a lot from there. Okay, so I think some birthday celebrations here. Good morning, Roslyn. I'm fascinated by the explanation of Eid-al-Fitr celebrations, which emphasize peace, love, and care. However, I've noticed the disconnect between these values and the reality on the ground. In countries like Ghana and Nigeria, where Muslims are predominant in certain regions, such as the northern part and Zongos in cities and towns, one would expect to see these values manifested. Unfortunately, these areas are often plagued by social vices like drug addiction, violence, immorality, and arrogance. This contradiction raises questions about the gap between the principles of Eid-al-Fitr and the life experiences of Muslim communities. Okay, this is really deep. Probably we should discuss this. Probably we should. When I sit down, we'll do this discussion. It's very important. All right, so assalamu alaikum. All right, my view on covering up is that isn't just about marriage or attracting a spouse. It's deeper than that. In Islam, certain parts of the body are considered awrah, or private areas that should be protected from unwanted attention. By covering up, Muslim women are encouraged to maintain their dignity and avoid drawing unnecessary attention to themselves. It's about self-respect, humility, and recognizing that our bodies are a trust from God. Plus, as a way to promote a more respectful and safe society where people are valued for who they are beyond physical appearance. Please, I can't pronounce it.
Jazakumullahu khairan.
Okay.
Jazakumullahu khairan.
All right. I love the Hajiya's abaya. Yes, it's really beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Right. And this is from Balkisu Bint Dawood from Nigeria. Thank you so much for sending us a message from Nigeria. Our Nigeria friends are watching. Hassan Cisse from Zenu Central. Says, let me say Eid Mubarak to all fellow Muslims and to you, Ajia Roslyn. Oh, thank you so much. And your quest, especially my good brother Adel. May the Almighty Allah accept our ibadah prayers and forgive us our sins and grant us good health, long life, prosperity, and peace. Tell Adel I need his number and the 6 days of fasting after Ramadan. Is it compulsory? Is it compulsory? The 6 days after?
Yeah.
It's compulsory.
No, I mean, it's not compulsory, but it's one of the best that you have to do.
Okay.
It is to make up for all the mistakes and all the other things that you may have, encountered. I mean, there is no way you would do fast for 30 days and not encounter certain things.
Okay.
So the idea is that the 30 days is supposed to be complete. If you want to have a complete Ramadan, so certainly it's compulsory that you do that extra 6 days, and then that covers up for all the things that may have gone wrong within the 30 days.
Fantastic. All right. Good morning. Happy Eid. Nice program. Watching you live from Kumasi. Afol Nkwanta Amakum. Thank you so much for watching us from Kumasi. Master Rahman has sent another one. He says, on the lighter note, Ajia Roslyn, so because I gave you new name, you also gave me Master Rahman. Superstar planner, forgive me. Since we are all in the mood, I have to give you a name, Roslyn, please, why are you not on hijab? Bawa from Kaswa. I'm not on hijab as in...
That's the veil.
Oh, the veil. Oh, Ajia will give me one day. So Ajia will give me one of the hijabs very, very soon. Okay, so you can keep your messages coming in and we'll read them. But that particular conversation, the message that came in about the areas is very concerning.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Adele, there is this philosopher who lives in the United States of America. He came down to Africa. And when he went back to US, he concluded his research. He was embarking on research. He said, I went to America. I saw Islam, but I didn't see Muslims. I came back to Africa. I saw Muslims, but I did not see Islam. There is a direct relation with what was written over there. Islam is Islam. The laws of Islam does not grow old. It's the same laws, and you have to abide by it. There is nothing like, I have to do it this way because I want to do it this way. As human beings, as Muslims, as a community, we have the fundamental responsibility of ensuring that we follow the rules of Islam. If we do not do that, then we are departing away from being core Muslims or real Muslims. And what the philosopher said is actually right. When you go to the United States today, example, if you are my brother and I want to borrow money to you, there should be some documentation that I've given Adel 10 cedi. It's not for free. I brought it to him. He needs to pay back. But today in our community here in Africa, if my brother Adel, I want to give my brother Adel money, and I say, okay, let's document, Adel will be like, what the hell? What's happening? I'm your brother, for crying out loud. Why should you document that you borrowing money from me? One example. Second example, it is our responsibility to ensure that we have systems that are working to ensure the welfare of the people living in the country. So in America, for instance, there's something they call welfare. If you don't have work, they would give you money, take care of your children.
Every month.
And when there's even a disaster, I quite remember there was this disaster in Germany some time ago. Everybody was out on the street. Everybody was removing everything in his room. Just come and park it in front of your house. The relief people come and take it and go and give it to other people. That is Islam. But does it happen here? There was an hadith that says that فَلْيَقُولَ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُولَ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. That's my last thing on this. It says that whoever believes in heaven and earth, you should always say good things or keep quiet. What is springing on social media in recent times, it is totally un-Islamic. And I say it here categorically, without fear or favor. Islam is Islam. If you want to be Osman or Abu Bakr and do your personal thing, do not relate it to Islam. There is nowhere in Islam that says that you should come and be spitting war words. You should come and be insulting your leaders. You should come and always say everything as if everybody is wrong and you are the only person who is doing the right thing. It is not Islam. It is not.
We need to sanitize it then. So what do we do, Ajia?
Just as my brother said, one thing I realize in our community that brings lots of problems, just like the question came, or the gentleman said, is when you go to our Zongo communities, in every corner you pass, you don't smoke, but you inhale a lot of smoke. One of the things I see is that when my child is gone are the days where my child, when you meet my child on the way doing something indiscipline, you would discipline the child before the child comes home, and he dares not talk about it.
Yeah.
But today, everybody is keeping his own to himself. And even when the child is wrong, you don't have the right to talk, even in schools. When a child offends or makes a mistake, you don't have the right to talk about it. We are not even supposed to cane. I'm not talking about caning the child as in the wrong way, but sometimes you simply have to frighten them to let them know that what they are doing, not necessarily by caning, but even punishment. These days, we don't do it in schools. So you realize that when you go to our various corners in the Zongo communities, a child might be speaking something bad or doing bad thing. You can't talk about it because you talk about it and then the parent will be like, yes, you're not talking about yours, you're talking about mine. Meanwhile, you intend to correct the child. So because today everybody is keeping to himself, is keeping his child to himself, doesn't want anybody to talk about it. So everybody is doing what they want. And almost every place is messed up. Almost every place is messed up. That is one thing I see. But if we would be each other's keeper, come together as a family, because Islam is a family. Islam is a family. Muslims are family.
From what you have said today, it tells us that it's a unified space.
Exactly.
You know, if I can park my car and go and eat where somebody has displayed food in front of their house, we are one big family.
Exactly.
And so we don't want to have these things, especially that is what the world, or that's what people who are outside these communities think of the community. Yeah. So
before I land, I'll give one typical example. There was a time a girl in my community had a problem. She was misbehaving, and the mother came to me and spoke to me about it. I had to speak to the girl and then go to her school and talk to her teachers on countless occasions. I had to talk to the girl for some time. Then I knew I was doing it for the sake of Allah and for the future of that girl to be bright. Little did I expect that later, that particular girl would be a close friend to my daughter. So imagine if I had said, oh, it's not my child, let her go. Let her do her own thing. I don't care, because mine is doing well. Of course, mine, I'm not the one who make it well. It's Allah who makes it well. So if I had not done that work, today she's a best friend to my child. And alhamdulillah, she has changed. So if we would be doing this homework, our community would be one of the best, inshallah. Unfortunately, Today, when people are pointing their left fingers, it comes to Islamic communities, unfortunately.
Yeah, Adel.
Rosalind, there are some basics. And Allah Jalla Jalalu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us. You see, I keep saying that when you refuse to listen to the Creator, it's a problem. Rosalind, you're wearing a watch, you're wearing some earrings. Someone created it, someone designed it. And he indicated where those watch needs to go. Yeah. I'm trying to imagine you coming to studio today and then this beautiful watch that you had on your hand, on your wrist, is actually on your legs. Like, I'm just trying to imagine. So if he did the watch and he said, you need to place it on your wrist, and I have mine on my wrist, and he has glasses, and he's been told that you have to put it here, and he doesn't put the glass on his neck. Why is it difficult to acknowledge the fact that the person who created you is telling you this is how you should do your stuff, and you say no? If you say no, you are as mad as somebody who would decide to put a watch on his legs. That's what it is. What is the basics? Allah says that if you get up and you're a man and you want to get married and you don't have the means to get married, fast and pray until he gives you the means to get married.
So you can't get married if you don't have the means. If you don't have the money, you can't get married. If you're married on love.
You can't, you don't go, you're assuming responsibility. Right from the time that she's born to the time that she becomes an adolescent, for you to go and pick her up, she's in the care of her father. He provides for her, he sees to her, he makes sure she's okay. The day she leaves her father's house is the day you're taking over that responsibility. Okay, so then you go pick her up. If you're being told that if you don't have the means, take your time until you get the means. And when we say the means, it's relative. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In some certain circles, for example, when you get to Saudi Arabia today and you want to get married, you must be ready. Because even the dowry in itself is gold.
Really?
Oh, she doesn't know. Like, certain people, the average Arabian would not want to even leave their country and come and live in your country. They want to stay in their country. They are comfortable there. Yeah. So it's relative, depending on where you are, where you find yourself, what they assume to be okay. There are some women who say, I've forgiven you the dowry, I won't even take it, and all of that.
Habibi.
But certainly, Habibi is my love. But certainly, okay, if you want to give birth to a child, you might as well also prepare for it. Right. Because there's responsibility attached to it. They are not goats. They are not sheep. Even goats, when you bring them and you put them, you go look for them when they do. No? So what we have done is that we have given birth to the kids. We have basically just left them. No guidance, no education. The child at 7 is struggling to eat. The child at 5 is already in the streets. Why are you pointing negative fingers? Where is the father? Where is the mother? The child didn't come here for coming's sake. So the responsibility starts from the individuals who have gotten together as couples, who decide now to give birth to kids, who are not also making efforts to take care of those kids, no education, nothing. You want that child to grow up at a certain stage to exchange their desires for wealth. You haven't given the child the skill to be able to exchange for wealth. You haven't given the child the skill to probably fix a vehicle. You haven't given the child a skill of maybe a consultant. You haven't given him a doctorate, something that the child would exchange to get that wealth that would make him want to buy the phone, that would make him want to buy the distance, that would make the boy want to get married to a girl. There are a lot of young people in our communities who are criminals. Why? Because they want to please their girlfriends. And they want to get married, and they want to show off that they have a vehicle. So the responsibility starts from home. We would have to understand that you cannot be giving birth to 10 kids, 8 kids, 12 kids. You cannot be marrying to 2, 3, 4 women when you don't even have money to pay, for rent. And these same women go out there, and the women need to start thinking. Because what the man does is that he gives it, and then he goes back to sit. Who teaches the girl that? Her parents. So until we understand that individually, we need to take responsibility. We need to understand that the children that we bring into this world, there's a responsibility on it. That is why Allah would hold you if you bring them in and you let them go away. That is why when you give birth to a child, the child grows up to become something good and they pray for you. Allah says He listens to that prayer in your grave. So if we depart from that and then we do 10 children, 15, 16, 12, 4 women, 3 women, and then you come back and you sit, and then you go to the mosque and you pray 5 times a day, and then you fast in the month of Ramadan, and you think that is basically what it is. No, that is not what it is. That is why we are where we are. All these young people going and you find them smoking and all of that is because one friend to another friend said, oh, come, let's go. He has nothing to do. He's not in class. The girl is moving from one place because she wants to have an iPhone that she has seen another friend have. And so, oh, that's my friend, he likes you. He says he likes you. Oh, he'll buy you a phone. And then that's it. Phone. And then she's pregnant. So no one taught her anything. Then she moves in with a guy. Then now the parents say, oh, they have to get married because she's already giving birth. No one is thinking, oh, get her back to school. Then they get married. No education, nothing. Then another child comes. Then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth.
There's a lot of education that must go on, and I believe that the kind of unity that you exhibit in your communities, definitely we will see a lot of change. And I love the fact that the 3 of you came this morning to help us understand more about Eid Mubarak. I've enjoyed this conversation, so thank you so much for joining us this morning.